Violent rhetoric in the gaming space is out of control. For too long, we have been letting these toxic, evil people control the gaming space, giving them free rein to threaten, dox, stalk, and harass developers, content creators, and gamers. So it is time once again to chastise the complicit media, activist developers, DEI companies, and gutless influencers for their roles, encouraging the most evil things imaginable upon the sweetest innocents who just wanted to bring fun and joy to others. Nobody is safe when the consultant activists and media want your game to be over. And the worst part is, this isn't even the first time we're doing this song and dance. Now, of course, you're thinking, well, this happens for many games. The toxic activists are always causing problems. No, you don't understand. This isn't even the first time we're doing this for this game. Hogwarts Legacy is at it again, and while we all expected another disgusting meltdown from the aptly named Twitter freaks, thank you, Silvervale. Being the naive, positive, innocent summer child that I am, I thought their homicidal tendencies could be staved off until Hogwarts 2. Well, I am clearly the fool. This time they're threatening Corona. No, not the beer or that nasty cough you had half a decade ago. A Corona is a comedian from the Hololive comedy troupe, and she decided to play the game that shall not be named. Last time this happened, the Twitter freaks, who now identify as Blue Sky freaks, took part in perhaps the most shameless and violent cancel culture campaign gaming has ever seen, spending months making lists of people to game end, threatening non-consenting adult acts against women, graphic torture threats, doxing, and the whole litany of smears and insulting names meant to ruin your reputations. They went after several streamers, most notably a subset known as vtubers, anime girls like Silvervale, the gentle and pleasant Pipkin Pippa, and the actually gentle and pleasant Pikami. This time, they are attacking Korone, a well-known Japanese VTuber. Now, to woke nationalistic activists, they refuse to educate themselves on other cultures. To them, only social media and their wealthy, elite colonizer cities exist. So they cannot comprehend that other cultures do not know or care about what is important to their own extremely narrow, xenophobic cult. To 99% of the planet, Harry Potter is a popular fantasy about being a witch or a wizard, nothing more. To them, Harry Potter dictates who lives and dies. To summarize the drama, if you do not know, from their point of view, the ultra-radical leftist feminist author J.K. Rowling disagrees with the rest of the ultra-radical leftist feminists on a single topic. She happens to believe that women do not have dicks. Whoa, put down the pitchforks, that's her belief. I think she's a lunatic. I'm a circus clown. Old jesters would never talk shit about my good friend Gertha the Bearded Lady this way. They would tie me into a pretzel and throw me through a ring of fire into a lion's gullet. It's appalling. Then in 2025, we are still allowing people with opinions we disagree with to live. Sometimes. By playing game based on book written by women who had a single wrong think incident, any content creator, such as Korone, deserves harassment and threats. And remember, this is the second time they're doing this. But this is not an isolated incident, this is a games industry staple, a normalized occurrence, and is one we need to make unwelcome forever. The last 10 years have proven a single wrong opinion will get banned from social media. That is a very important caveat to remember. Mods absolutely do make the decision on what speech they find unacceptable. But that does have a reciprocal fact. When they give harsh penalties for mild opinions, and then they do not take action against graphic, detailed threats, and they let it fester exponentially on their platforms, they are also making a decision on what speech they do find acceptable. There are only two ways to remain fair and balanced in moderation. Censor everyone that says certain unacceptable things. For example, if one person says slay all pie eaters and another says slay anyone who doesn't like pie, you censor both because nobody should ever be slaying anything except Queen. The second is censor nobody. It's the Wild West of pies. The problem is they do neither. Instead of censoring actions, they censor people they dislike, while those they love are protected, given the privilege to say things as awful and generally far, far worse. How this works in practice is the guy saying, delete all pie lovers is getting banned. But the guy saying the exact same thing about pie haters is not banned. And because they are not banned, they constantly increase their violent rhetoric to threats, doxing, posting information on their families, and ultimately aiming to ruin their lives entirely. Again, with no ban, and often with the platform itself boosting and openly celebrating them. This overwhelming systemic tyranny is starting to radicalize and anger people. Online gaming used to almost entirely exist at one social level. It's a level fandoms are used to, the comic book discussion level, the COD lobby level. At this level, you can have a heated discussion with pals or other gamers over what game is best. Is it Star Wars or Star Trek? Then, lunch break hits, and you go and get burgers. They call this toxic masculinity, but it's just standard, healthy fan discourse. The last 20 years saw gaming boom in popularity and catch the attention of malicious outsiders. Activists used to scream at gamers from the outside, tell their lies, try to say gaming causes violence or Satan or masculinity, and get the government to fund studies, which consistently proved their own accusations were wrong. At some point, activists decided they could cause more damage by embedding themselves into the industry. And they were right. So we saw gaming rapidly become infested with these cockroaches. Same Karen mentality, same desire to cause ruin. They hate games, they hate gamers, men, but they love the clout and platform of popular entertainment. And these people cannot have a conversation. For them, everything is political, everything is racist, everything is sexist, and you need to point this out at every opportunity. You cannot debate them because they are not here to make gaming better. They are here to make gaming a tool in their political cult. They call you toxic for a normal conversation and paint themselves as social justice warriors. Work behind the scenes to deplatform, blacklist, and debank people, dox and stalk and harass people. They call and intimidate your parents' jobs and ruin lives. Label you ist or phobe to destroy your reputation. And they threaten content creators, and for a long time, they were successful in using intimidation to get VTubers, YouTubers, Twitch streamers, artists to obey their morality laws. With a mix of the force of a swarm of rabid activists and their use of corporate systems meant to oppress and silence people who disagree with them, their sole legacy is cancel culture. And because major corporations and people who yield systemic power have such a close partnership with the woke Karens, these people grew so used to this method of destroying lives, they think they can take everything away from creators, people like Corone, on a whim. They did this for over a decade, with the blacklists, with the media consulting cartels, with talented devs being pushed out of studios by activists, with the weaponization of HR and DEI to ruin the lives of millions of industry employees. Their goal is you deplatformed on Twitch or YouTube for playing Hogwarts Legacy, debanked by Visa and MasterCard, and they would claim it is for safety, to protect children, to stop hate speech. And if you are the moderate who asks, how does banning Hogwarts make anyone safe? Congratulations. You have just volunteered yourself as tribute. The word radicalize was improperly used before, and it gets thrown around a lot. Let's backtrack. That is the wrong word. Never say the injustices in the gaming and entertainment sphere is radicalizing you, or is going to radicalize people. Here is why. Being disgusted and angry when activists try to incite violence or threaten content creators over the games they play or what they've said on social media is not the radical view. It is the normal, sane view. They who spent the last decade ruining lives over a tweet or even a like on a post, those are the radicals. If you feel a growing rage with the exponential one-sided hatred that has been fostered by these activist tourists who have always hated video games and anime, you are not radical, you are normal. And this is the beauty of the sweet baby cartel and games media implosions. It showed how few of them there are and how many normal people absolutely hate these monsters. How gamers do not want these gross DI games. How gamers are unhappy with ideology destroying every major franchise. Gamers just want great games that are made to appeal to them. Normal people want to peacefully play a wizard game without freaks harassing them. And as these Twitter freaks get called out, they will play victim, never bias. This method of attacking others and then crying when they get backlash is over. It doesn't work. Your boos mean nothing to us when we have seen what makes you cheer. The way to get rid of violence and toxicity in gaming is not to accept the presence of violent, toxic, radical freaks. It is to push out and gatekeep malicious activists, the woke, the DEI, the games media, and anyone who would harass and threaten to game end someone for the crime of playing a video game. People want to talk about the two sides of the argument. Those sides are not left and right. Let's never forget the satanic panic, the violence in games mums, the feminist frequency, and now the Visa and MasterCard censorship regime. One side thinks it is okay to play games you want to, thinks it is okay to go live and talk about stuff, thinks debate should be permitted, and believes you should be safe to do so. The other side believes in censoring what you play, that your money should not be allowed to be used by you to buy what you want, that you should be threatened, stalked, harassed, attacked for playing a video game, and you are property of the state or major corporations, and they decide what you are allowed to do. That is your two sides. There can be no debate with these people. They refuse to ever accept accountability or do better. You cannot educate them. They cannot be bargained with. They cannot be reasoned with. They do not feel pity or remorse or shame, and they will absolutely never stop with their violence and hatred. The debate is over. There is no point in trying to win over people who want you dead for playing a video game. Like the Nazgul in Lord of the Rings, you need to realize they are there and pose a clear and overwhelming threat. But when they show up, there is solely one way of handling them. Avoid them, make them unwelcome, let everyone else know what they are. They say silence is violence, then say words are violence, so your sole choice is ideological slavery. And if you do not obey, they are justified to do anything they want to you. They were given so many chances to reverse their stances, realize what they have done, and try to salvage the games industry they destroyed since being called out. They took none of these opportunities. They were given olive branches, opportunities to debate and discuss. They called gamers names and demanded censorship and oppression for anyone they hate. Censorship of freedom of expression and intimidation against artists is the death of art. It cannot be tolerated by artists or people who enjoy art, and we will never stop talking about these people. Whether it is DEI, MasterCard, Visa, government surveillance laws, or whatever guise the pro-censorship leeches take on next. So if you have zero patience for the toxic vitriol of the violent activists, like, comment, and subscribe. And to the violent Twitter freaks, I apologize for absolutely nothing.